Let's go through my February TBR. As it is Valentine's this month, I of course had to include quite a few romances, but I do have a few non-romance books sprinkled in there too. So the first book is The Love Intervention by Carolyn Curry. This is a romance about a clinical scientist working in a hospital lab who doesn't have time to date. However, when her world starts to crumble, her friends stage an intervention, a love intervention. This sounds like such a fun read. It sounds like it has slight Mamma Mia vibes, as the blurb talks about her reconnecting with three men who stole her heart 10 years ago. This is also by a Lebanese author, and I love that this will help me to further diversify my romance reads. The next book on the list is The Rewrite by Lizzie Damiola Blackburn. This book sounds like drama, and I cannot wait. In this book, our FMC Temmie gets dumped when her boyfriend Whale wants to go on what is basically Love Island. Instead of wallowing, Temmie decides to throw herself into her dream of becoming an author, and I'm sure you can guess what happens next. She gets an opportunity she can't turn down, which turns out to be ghostwriting Whale's autobiography. This honestly sounds like so much fun, I cannot wait. And then we have Bad Publicity by Bianca Gillam. This is a romance about two exes who are forced to work together. They're an author and a book publicist, and they go on a month-long book tour across Europe. This sounds like a really fun concept, and who doesn't love a book about books? I also love the idea of following this story across Europe. It sounds like it could be so romantic. And the next book on the list is Spells, Strings and Forgotten Things by Brianne Randall. Now this is where we start to move away from romance books and sprinkle a few other things in to keep it interesting. This is a story about three sisters whose magic is tied to their memories. I believe this does also have a romantic storyline, but I don't think that is the main focus. I love stories about family, whether that's found family or real families like in this case. I love seeing the relationship dynamics and how that impacts the characters' emotions and decision making. And I love that this is a little bit different from the other books on this list. Then we have The Rising by Joe Riccioni. This is a sequel to The Branded, which is a fantasy book that I read and loved last year. I am so excited for this book. I was lucky enough to receive an arc of The Branded last year, but that just means that it feels like I've had to wait ages for this next book. Needless to say, I'm just being impatient. I just can't wait to see where the story goes next. And finally, we have Shroud by Adrian Tchaikovsky. One of my goals for 2025 is to read more sci-fi, and Adrian Tchaikovsky is probably one of the biggest names in the sci-fi space, but I've never read his work. This book is about a pitch black moon whose environmental conditions are extremely hostile to humans. After an emergency landing, two humans try to survive and escape the planet, and as they do, they become very well acquainted with what's in the dark staring back at them. This book sounds so tense. I think it's going to have me on the edge of my seat, and I'm very excited to discover this author's work for the first time.